Have I ever told you the story of my own personal paranormal encounter? Because I think this encounter is probably the one reason why I have any sort of small belief in anything paranormal. Have I ever told you this story before? Because if not, I will gladly tell it again. Throw holy water at it, and maybe a bullet or two. You gotta make sure there's silver bullets, Galaxy. You don't know? All right, that's fine. I'll share it again. So, chat. This happened many years ago, right? This happened many years ago. This happened a really long time ago, actually. As far back when I was still living with my parents, with Mama and Papa Dragon at the old Lair, right? And my grandmother was there with us for some time as well. She unfortunately had a stroke, was in hospital care and hospice care for some time before she passed away, right? I was still very young. I was a very young dragon at that time, right? Fast forward many years, I'm now much older. I'm still living with my parents for a bit. My father is out of town, and I am just coming home from the grocery store, helping my mother buy some food so we can make dinner, right? Keep that in mind. Usually there are 3 people at the house, but today it is just me and my mother. We had at the old Lair sort of like an enclosed front porch area, and it had windows that faced the street, but like we sort of just used it as like a sunroom. So, but we weren't entering through that front door. We were entering through the basement door, which was, you know, like at the driveway level, because we had a really big house back then. And as my mother is going to unlock the door, I walk around to the trunk of my car, I pop the trunk, I start taking bags out, right? And as I look up, I just so happen to glance up at the front window of the house, and what do I see? I see the silhouette of a person standing at the window, looking out towards the street. I'm like 80% sure they're looking at me. And so I kind of think nothing of it, right? I'm just thinking to myself, okay, Mom's inside. Let me go meet her. As I walk inside, my mother meets me directly at the door. And I stop. I'm visibly confused, and she's just like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, How did you get from the first floor to the basement so quickly?" My mom just responds like, "No, I never was on the first floor. I just needed to unlock the door and hold it open for you." And I'm like, "What do you mean you were never on the first floor? What do you mean?" So I bring the groceries inside. I pop them on the table. I like half sprint to the sunroom out front, right? And I get there, and there's nothing there. There's no one there. Right? It could not have been my dad. Like, it wasn't my dad surprising us by coming home early. No. Because my mother didn't drive, right? And the only people in the family at the time who knew how to drive was myself and my father. And he took his car with him out of town because he was doing something with like work related. I can't remember what. He was just out of town. He had his car with him. And there was no one else in the house because no one lived with us. And so my mom comes up behind me and she says, "What happened?" I'm like, "I swear to God, I saw somebody standing right here at the window." And then, like, without missing a beat, my mom is just like, do you think it was grandma? Keep in mind, my grandmother had been dead for years at this point. And right up until the point where all of us moved out of that house, the room where my grandmother stayed before she had her stroke and passed away and had to be moved out of the house into hospice care, we would always hear mysterious noises or see things we could not explain coming from that room. And it is a joke to this day in members of my family that right up until the day we moved out of that house, Grandma was watching us. I'm not kidding you, chat. I would walk into that room, and the old house didn't have any air conditioning or central heating or whatever, or central climate control, right? I would walk into that room on like an 85 degree day. Hot as sin outside. Humid too. I would walk into that room and suddenly feel very, very cold. And I had no idea why. Couldn't put my finger on it. There were times where not just me, but my mother and my father, would hear something in like a thudding sound or rattling sound in that room. There was one moment where all three of us got really scared, right? There was one moment where we were all in the basement because we had converted our basement to like a family room and an entertainment center, right? And we just heard a loud banging noise coming from my grandmother's old room on the first floor. And we're like, what the heck was that? The windows were closed because this was like winter, right? So it couldn't have been the breeze. We didn't leave a window open. And it was just the scariest thing. And we went back upstairs and we just saw that a lamp had fallen off the table and it was on the ground. It was just so scary. So that is probably the only reason why I have any stake, any sort of belief in anything paranormal at all. Because to this day, I hold the belief that my grandmother was sticking around and keeping an eye on the family, even after she had passed away. It is absolutely wild to me. Exactly, Galaxy, thank you. Oh my god. So now part of me is curious, right? Because my parents no longer live at that house. I no longer live at that house. That old house was my childhood home. We all moved out. That house currently has new owners. Currently has a new family living there. Right? I am half tempted. I'm half tempted to contact the family that is currently living at my old house and just be like, hey, experienced anything weird lately? Experienced anything strange? Oh my god. Oh my god. At least it was a pretty peaceful haunting. Yeah, you could look at it that way. Yeah, you could look at it that way. You can absolutely look at it that way. My grandmother was a cool person. Honestly, my grandmother was a cool person. But like that, even retelling that story, I got the heebie-jeebies. Even just retelling that story, I got the heebie-jeebies.